Okay, I'm usually a glass half full kind of guy. I tend to see the good in political intentions with an eye, of course, on those who snow us. And I like to think that a well thought through plan in times like these has every chance of being achieved. But I am sorry. With what I've heard from the Prime Minister after Friday's National Cabinet meeting about a four-step plan to normality, about relying on a vaccination take-up as a way of reopening, I have such little confidence in the concept. We've been through all of this before. Outside of financial rescue, the PM hasn't been the one directing policy in this pandemic. He has not. Not even the premiers have had the ultimate say when dealing with borders and lockdowns. It's been the senior public servants, namely the chief health officers in every state and territory, that have held all the power. In National Cabinet, premiers have fought between themselves because of what they have been told by their respective chief health officers, which has been contradictory continually. It's never made sense to me that you'd run a cabinet in this fashion. Federal cabinet isn't run on some kind of show of hands. Now, we have a federal government which should have overriding power over the states and chief medical officers, with a whole heap of deputies who should surely be calling the medical shots and all related decisions about lockdowns and borders. It's the chief medical officers in Canberra who should be having one say, one narrative about medicine. But no, it just hasn't worked that way. The CHOs have been the grand poobahs. So did the PM drag in all of those chief health officers and make them agree to what the premiers agreed to on Friday? A progressive four-step plan which links a threshold of vaccinations to a longer shutting, no longer shutting a border or locking down a city of state, which is a great idea, but no, he didn't. They weren't there. They were nowhere to be seen. At best, they may have been told about the agreement by the media or by someone from their Premier's office. And that tells me that Friday was somewhat of a waste of time. As for prioritising people who've been vaccinated, which is a must looking forward, I like the idea of allowing fully vaccinated travellers to enter the country and maybe quarantine for a week while we determine whether they can contract the virus or not. But the latter isn't even necessary. In terms of quarantine, there are about 10,000 Americans who've had the full 2 doses who've contracted COVID-19 again. 90-odd% haven't even noticed they've had a symptom. There are 853 million people around the world fully vaccinated. Why can't they enter the country? Why aren't we resuming business with them? The UK has earmarked July 19 as Freedom Day for fully vaccinated Brits. And what are we doing here? Well, we shut down cities and states, and the first sign of a community transmitted case, sometimes one case, we shut down. And what did we see during the week? Various chief health officers refusing to allow fully vaccinated family members from entering a state to see their dying father or brother. We don't understand the value of being fully vaccinated, even in cases requiring compassion. So we've got Buckley's chance of seeing fully vaccinated people receive any priority at all. In recent weeks, the PM has refused to link vaccinations to reopening.
At this stage of the virus and where it is globally, the uncertainties of where it is going are too great, and it's not safe to move to that next phase.
Up until Friday, he's rejected any connection between a threshold on vaccines and reopening. It's been
Everyone who wants to be vaccinated has been given an opportunity to do that. And then it's on them if they don't choose to get vaccinated. But we wouldn't be having lockdowns to protect people who weren't prepared to protect themselves.
Perfect statement. It's been Chairman Dan who's been on the money, a rejuvenated Chairman Dan after his break. The great lockdowner is the one pushing the appropriate course of action. But will his chief health officer, the risk-averse Brett Sutton, tick off on this too? Because if he doesn't, the chairman will be highly unlikely to refuse the health advice. Most of the other states will be in the same pickle. And to this day, we don't even have an agreed medical narrative about younger people receiving AstraZeneca, despite the jab not being banned and being taken extensively by young people in the UK, where AZ creators receive standing ovations at the tennis, we've got at least 4 state premiers and their chief health officers claiming that young people should not take it.
AstraZeneca was manufactured by Oxford AstraZeneca in the United Kingdom, and now they're not offering AstraZeneca to their under 40s.
Anastasia Palaszczuk knows nothing. That is just plain untrue. It is a lie. Here too, there's no ban. The advice was a recommendation for under 60s to take Pfizer, but take AZ once you consult your GP. That was what the recommendation was. We make AstraZeneca. It's available now. Why wouldn't you at least consider it with medical advice? You've got a 1 in 1.5 million chance of nearing death, a 1 in 50,000 chance of getting a treatable blood clot. You've got way more chance of developing a blood clot on a flight. But anyway, back to leadership. We are terribly overgoverned in this country, and most of us here say that quite often. And all this division at the top during COVID has made that way too obvious. Too many chiefs and not enough accurate and scientifically based decision makers. In fact, the guiding light in WA, Queensland and a couple of other jurisdictions has been just fear. Fill everyone with fear and they'll follow you through. Let's overcompensate to reach the unreachable eradication. So let's take what we heard on Friday with a big grain of salt, because until the Feds start pulling rank and making all the decisions, clarifying who really is in charge, any grand plans for reopening are basically useless. If we don't do this, tourism and business revenues will remain at rock bottom and the rest of the world will be years ahead of us. It is simple. Give those with a double jab the freedom they deserve and make up your minds who's in charge.